Well, good evening.
Evening.
Mike sort of alluded to the fact that we've made a few changes. Barb and I used to operate the Healing Center, and I'm still working there a couple days a week. But she's retired. Not really, but we're starting a new venture. It's going to be called the Be Amazing Academy. And if you're interested in that, just jot your name down on your email down on your bulletin, and we'll send you an email when it's all ready and up and running. But tonight I'm going to talk about worry, and the title is Worry, Friend or Foe? Now lots of us are worriers. Is there anybody here who's kind of a worrier? A little bit? I think I know a couple of you are. So what is worry? Well, it's a repeated thought that just goes through your head over and over about something bad that you think might happen. And as John pointed out earlier this week, 99% of those things that we worry about never really happen. But what are some of the big worries? What do people worry about? Yes.
Fear of somebody dying.
Fear of death, right?
Money.
One of the big ones. What else?
Money.
Money. What else?
Help.
Health. Others. How about family members? We often worry about our kids, our parents, or uncles or aunts. Sometimes we have old embarrassments, things that happened to us when we were a kid, and they constantly come into our mind, and we think about those things. I worked with an Amish man who was in his 40s, and when he was a young man at school, he was given a little talk, and he got real nervous, and he wet his pants. So 20, 30 years later, it still occupies his mind when he goes into public. So these are things that are often really difficult. So what happens in our body when we worry? Well, one of the things is that our body becomes very acidic. And when your body is acidic, you have a lot of increased inflammation. So if you have an injury somewhere, like you have an injured joint, and it's inflamed, when you're worried, you're going to have more inflammation in that joint. You have more tendency to have stomach problems, heartburn, indigestion. Blood pressure may go up, your pulse may go up. So all of these are physiologic things that happen to our body when we worry. Often there's insomnia. How many times have we stayed awake at night worrying and thinking about something that might happen? So these things can be really quite detrimental to us. Now, is worry always a bad thing? Well, not really. In some of Hamid Bey's talk there, part that Barb didn't read, he talked about the fact that the thought, when it comes into our mind, has to be dealt with. If it keeps going over and over in our mind, then it becomes a worry. So it's the repeatedness of that thought that is really the problem area. So worry sometimes can be mistaken for intuitive guidance. So when something comes into our mind, it might be just our intuition poking us a little bit, saying, hey, you got to pay attention to this. Now, what's important about that is when you get that, you have to follow through and do something with it and fix it, rather than just thinking over and over and over again about the worry thought. So when worry is a bad thing, it's when it goes all on and on and on. But when that thought comes into your mind and you're guided to do something about it, then it actually is a good thing. So let's talk a little bit about solutions to worry. One of the first things is, and I've said this probably a dozen times that I've been here, stop watching the news, the television. How many people watch the news? Most of the news is, I'm going to sound like Trump, fake news. But really, the news is sensationalized, it's augmented by the news people. They're trying to get attention, they're trying to get ratings, they're trying to get a story. And lots of times these stories are things that do not directly affect us. So, yes, what's going on in Korea, that can be a worry, and we can think about that. But how directly is it affecting us immediately now? So in a bit, I'm going to give you some other solutions for those kind of situations. So as soon as a worry thought comes into your mind, it's important to change that thought to something that you really would rather have. So let's talk about Korea. So that worry thought comes in your mind. What's going to happen if that guy pushes the button? And that thought then needs to be immediately switched to somebody takes him out, somebody takes over that country, something happens so that he changes his mind. So you create a new little scenario in your mind. Instead of him pushing the button and creating a nuclear catastrophe, change that to something that he pushes the button and it misfires and nothing happens. Put a new thought in there. One thing I've been teaching for several years now is emotional release letter writing. So if there's a particular situation that you're worried about that involves a person, you write that person an emotional release letter. And some of you have done this before, but you write a letter to this person. At the end, you add endings. I will no longer carry this debt, physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. I love you, I bless you, I release you, I forgive you for everything I think you've done to me. And then you read that out loud 3 times, and then you burn it. And the burning part is a very important aspect to this. You can also revise any event from the past that has caused you to worry. Revision simply means that you create 3 or 4 new scenarios that are similar but different with better outcomes than the event that's causing you to worry. You can also play the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is when you play through what you're concerned about, then you play it through as if it happens, and how would you respond? So if the thing you're worried about, say you're worried about somebody passing away, well, what would happen if they did, and how would you respond? And you just go through it, and you realize that you would be okay if that thing really did happen. So it takes the concern about your own personal well-being out of that situation. It's also really important to relax and meditate on a regular basis. I'm sure that everybody here knows how to meditate. It's important that we do that regularly. And meditation, one of the things that I enjoy doing with meditation is imagining I'm at an ideal place of relaxation. And I love the ocean, I love the sand, the sun, the wind, and I love to sail. So when I meditate, lots of times I'm on a sailboat somewhere, or I'm on a surfboard somewhere, out in the ocean, and just really, really enjoying myself. Now the brain can't tell the difference between imagining that and actually being there. So the chemistry begins to change, and the acidity and the inflammation begin to change, and healing begins to take place in the body. Now do something about that worry. I have had a history of worrying about people when they don't show up on time. And occasionally Barbara's at a meeting. Well, this happened this week. She was at a meeting, and I thought the meeting was at 4 o'clock and that she was going to be home about 6:30 or so. So I get done working in the office, 7 o'clock, she's not there. I buzz her on the phone, no answer, and the old program begins to trigger, like, okay, so what's going on? Well, a year or so ago, we bought some devices that we put on our cars, and it's a little GPS tracker. So I get on my phone, click on the tracker, I see her car's up in Cadillac where the meeting is. So that little worry thought goes, oh, okay, she's fine, she's where she's supposed to be. So what happens is that device helps me to overcome a situation that sometimes could get out of hand. The other thing is that we need to learn to mind our own business. You know, when we're worried about our kids, it is their responsibility. It is up to them. And if they're making decisions that aren't the best, they're the ones that have to learn that lesson. Should we rob them of the lesson that they're supposed to learn? No. We need to let them do what they're going to do and make their own decisions and live with those consequences of those decisions. Now there's a couple of natural remedies called Bach flower remedies that are very beneficial for worry. One is mimulus. This is for known fears. So if you're afraid of flying,
Can you just repeat that, please? Which one?
mimulus.
Mimulus.
Mimulus. It's spelled Mimmulus. Mimulus is for known fears. So if you're afraid of flying, or you're afraid of heights, or you're afraid of closed small spaces, you can put it in a water bottle. Put 4 or 5 drops in a water bottle and just sip on that. If you're going on a flight and you're worried about it, you just put it under your tongue, like an hour before the flight. You do it again 15 minutes before. Do it when you're getting on the plane. And these things work amazingly well. Another one is called aspen. And aspen is for fears that you don't really know what the cause is. Sort of a generalized feeling of anxiety or fear, and you're not sure why you're feeling that fear. Also, hormones can be a factor. And when we talk about this, we often think about women, but men can have the same thing. So if you're at an age of menopause, or men 60, 70 years of age, and your hormones begin to become low testosterone, low progesterone, low estrogen, these can cause people to have unusual anxiety and worries. So if you're experiencing that and you're in those age groups, it's a good idea to either get a blood test or a saliva test to see what your hormones are doing. And if they're very low, you can get natural compounded hormones that are very safe. The prescription hormone replacements are not very safe, but the natural hormones are very safe. So sometimes it's a medical issue, and that needs to be addressed. Something else that's really important is when you're worried, there's a song we used to sing in church, so why worry when you can pray? But when you pray, it's very important that you pray the solution and not the problem. So don't pray that so-and-so is not going to be in an accident. You pray that they're going to come home healthy. And you pray for perfect health. So if you're worried about someone's health, don't pray for healing for their cancer. Pray that they will have perfect health and live to be 98 and pass away in their sleep in perfect health. So pray the solution, not the problem. So let's look about some specific worries. Sometimes people are worried about their health. And in particular, I hear a lot of people worried about cholesterol. Now, we have, in a health profession, done a really good job of scaring the bejesus out of people having to do with cholesterol. It's really a big farce. It's a made-up problem so that the drug companies can sell more of their statin drugs. Now, there are a small percentage of people, probably about 6% of the population, that really do have issues associated with elevated cholesterol. But in most cases, it's not an issue. So what has to happen is if you have elevated cholesterol and you're worried about it, imagine you're going to be 120 years of age and you're still in great health. And you play that movie in your mind over and over and over, especially just before you go to sleep. Now, when I say this to people, a lot of them say, I don't want to live that old. But what they're thinking is, I don't want to be unhealthy at that age. So, we were at a Greg Braden seminar this summer, and he was over in Tibet meeting with people. There were people that were 140 years old, lots of them 110, 120, and very healthy. And the key ingredient in all these people at that age were they felt needed. So this one nun in the monastery, she said, these young ladies need me. And she was talking about the 80-year-olds. But they all felt like they were needed. So make sure that you have a purpose for your life. Lots of times in our culture, when we retire, we sort of think, well, I'm not going to go to work anymore. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to sit around and watch TV. I mean, how many Westerns can you watch? Anyway? So when you get to retirement age, start another purpose for your life. Think of something new, just like we're doing. We have this little bed and breakfast, and people come and visit us. We're starting this new venture. Next week we're going to New York and to Boston, and we're doing lots and lots of things that are part of the next phase of our lives. And this is an important thing that people focus and think about that in that way. We often fear death, and I remember as a young man being very fearful of dying. Now that was because I was raised in a community that was very religious, and if you didn't do everything just right, you were going to go to hell forever. Now that's not a very good thing to think about. So the parents and the people in the churches use that concept to try to control people and how they think. I mean, we were going to go to hell if we played baseball on Sunday. As I grew up, I thought, how silly is that? But those were the things that we were taught. And that gets programmed into us. So it's important that we resolve those issues, and you can use some of the reprogramming techniques and emotional release letter writing to eliminate that connection from the person who taught you that. One of the things that helped me a lot was I read a book called The Education of Oversoul No. 7 by Jane Roberts. Anybody ever read that? It's a very interesting book. And it talked about parallel lives and the fact that we incarnated for a particular reason, and then we went to school for a while and we learned things, and then we incarnated again. And that we made choices to incarnate sometimes in the future, and sometimes we would incarnate into the past because the people in the past needed our knowledge. So people like Edison probably came from a future time and incarnated into the past to bring to the world the things that they needed. But that book and those kinds of concepts totally eliminated my fear of dying. Now, I don't want to die painful. I don't want to die as slow, so that my conditioning is that I'm going to live to be at least 100 and just go to sleep one night and that's it. And that's how it's going to be. And I have met many, many people who do that. I've had several say to their family members, gather the family because I'm going to die tonight. And they'll have a meeting and they'll die. This happened to Jose Silva, who's one of my mentors. So the important concept here is that we have to put these programs into our minds. So if we fear death, then we have to plan that we're going to live to be 98 or 100 or 120 and be in perfect health. And when we do this conditioning like that, then we get intuitive guidance and we get spiritual guidance to make the right choices so that we eat the right things and we drive down the right road and we don't trip over this or that. And so we have the ability to be in the right place at the right time. All right, we're going to end this with a little meditation, and I'm going to ask Linda to come back and give us a little music. So find a comfortable position, feet flat on the floor. And this meditation is going to be a series of affirmations. These are affirmations that are in one of my books. I stole some material from Wayne Dyer, and I've expanded on that material, and it's these affirmations. So close your eyes, inhale a deep breath. And now as you exhale, relax your body completely. another deep breath. And as you exhale, relax your body completely. Inhale another deep breath. And again, as you exhale, feel the relaxation in your body. And now you can mentally repeat after me, or you can simply listen to these affirmations. And at a later time, you can read them to yourself. I can do anything I choose to do. I choose to do it now. I eat anything I choose, and I remain slim, trim, toned, and healthy. I enjoy being my true self. For as long as I can remember, I have always had plenty. My life is filled with abundance, and I am filled with gratitude. I will do whatever it takes, for as long as it takes. I have loving support from those who care. I am okay. I deserve a wonderful life. Joy and happiness are my birthright. I easily overcome old genetic and old learned programming. My thoughts heal my body quickly and easily. I am connected to unlimited sources of abundance. I have always had, I now have, and always will have plenty. In my life, there is abundance for all. The right people are already here to help me with my quest. There are always great people looking for the opportunity that I have. I guide myself at all times to do the things and say the things that lead most to my success and my perfect health. I have created a healthy body. I love my body. I love myself. And my inner self loves me. I have access to unlimited assistance. I have physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual strength to accomplish any goal that I undertake. I am a co-creation of myself and the divine. All is perfect, and I am a genius in my own right. I am wise, and I exercise perfect timing. Everything I touch has a beneficial outcome. My experience and enthusiasm guide me, and I easily create the future that I desire. I function well within the rules of society, making adjustments for my circumstances. I am connected to everyone and everything. I think about what I can do now. I think in small, manageable pieces to accomplish great things. I am filled with passion and excitement for my life. I'm filled with vital energy every day. My mind is sharp. My thoughts are precise and clear. My body is trim, toned, and healthy. I have released the events from the past that are no longer beneficial to me. And I live fully in this present time with joy and love. I have created a past in which I have a perfectly healthy body, brain, and mind. I easily find the time for the beneficial things in my life. I accomplish tasks quickly, easily, accurately, and efficiently. I easily find the correct path and the purpose for my life. I accomplish everything I put my mind to. I release unhealthy memories of past experiences with gratitude and move forward with joy and enthusiasm. For as long as I can remember, I am in control of my body and my life. My future is bright and filled with promise and purpose. I want you to imagine now that you are at an age in which you are ready to pass and transition to another incarnation. Whatever that age is fine. But imagine that you are perfectly healthy and that you walk straight and quickly and you run upstairs and you drive your car, ride your bicycle, hike in the woods, go shopping, enjoying yourself, reading, learning. Now each night before you go to bed, play an image like this in your mind. Make up a little scenario, a little mental movie, a collage of pictures that indicate that you are at a certain age and you have perfect health, body, mind, emotions, and spirit. Now thank yourself for having incarnated in this lifetime and in this situation that you have. And thank yourself for experiencing all of those things that you have experienced in the past. And in the future, if worry thoughts creep into your mind, pay attention to them for a brief period of time. Analyze them. Fix what can be fixed. And then shift the image to something that you prefer. Once more with feeling of gratitude. Imagine yourself in perfect health. prepare yourself to return to this place and this time. Feel your feet on the floor. Move your toes and fingers. Inhale a deep breath. And as you exhale, relax your body. And you can open your eyes at any time. So if you are a worrier, it's time to stop that cycle. Pay attention. Fix that problem that's arising. And choose to think about something different, the way you want it to be. Thank you very much. And if anybody's interested in those affirmations, you can watch the video. You can also send me an email, and I'll send you a copy. What I do is I recorded it in my phone, and at least once a day I listen to that. It takes about 5 minutes, and it's a really excellent way to begin your days. Thank you.
Bravo.